Hello everyone, this is Laura, and I'm going to talk about my near-death experience that happened to me recently within the past 2 weeks. And what happened, I had a lot of experiences. I saw the angels. It was like I saw it between the veil, and I could really see what would, you know, like the Matrix. I saw in between the Matrix and what was going on there. And it started out that on my hands, I started getting like pain and burning in my finger. And that went all day. So I was doing readings and working on people. And then it slowly but surely went to all of the fingers, where it was just like very painful to touch and it was burning. And I was like, what happened to me? Did I get bit by a bug? What's going on here? Well, anyway, you know, I decided, okay, tomorrow I'm going to call the doctor. Well, I go to bed and lay down. And then, you know, a couple hours go by, I wake up and it's like 2 a.m. and well, my scar's right there, guys, so I don't want to show you all that. But from here to my hand, it was totally numb. And it was heavy and cold. I could not feel anything. So I started getting, you know, started freaking out a little bit and calling on my angels and things like that. And I'll tell you what happened. I was like seeing weird stuff and things like that. Seeing like spots and colors, and when I put my hand, before I went to the hospital, I was just laying with my hand on a pillow, and I started telling my angels, okay, I'm afraid, what's happening? And right away I felt them come in, and it was like they put this machine over my hand. It felt like a solid machine, and it was like pumping. It felt like it was making circulation, and it was warm. So I felt that, and I felt things on my heart and my feet. It was like electrodes or something. And then, you know, when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to go to the hospital, then I told my partner, and then we got up and we went. But we got to the hospital like 3 a.m. and we were there all night. And we both had a suspicion. I was like, yeah, it's a blood clot. I know this. And finally I started getting scans, started getting, you know, like ultrasounds and things like that. And then like around 8 a.m. they said, okay, we're rushing you. You're going in an ambulance to another hospital, and they're doing emergency surgery on you. You have a blood clot from here down over to here and in your heart. And I was like, oh great. But what was funny is the whole time I was very calm. I was not afraid, even when I went in the ambulance. Okay. And now the whole time I could feel my angels and everybody around me. And my hand was going, by that time my hand was going in and out of being numb, but it was still really cold. When I was in the ambulance, you know, you can lay back and look up at the sky. This is where it got kind of freaky, as I saw like in between the clouds there was angels, and it was like they were like a school of fish, you know, like a school of fish in the water, and there was thousands of them, and they were just floating along. And I was like, wow, is this what's really going on in the world? And it was like I was able to see all these different things. So the whole time I was in that ambulance, I saw the angels up in the clouds like that. And I think I might make an art piece and, you know, show that with you guys in a later video. And then when I got into the hospital, they prepped me and all that, got me in for the surgery. And, you know, I've had surgery at hospitals where they start to knock you out before you get in the operating room. For this one, no. They brought me in there, and then all this hustle and bustle and me moving, and they put this big thing over my face, and I started to become claustrophobic. And there's when the panic set in. And I was like, please let me sleep. You know, because there's always this fear of, well, what if I don't sleep and I feel them working on me, you know? And then, okay, here's another angel moment. They moved me over Everybody was prepping me. They put that over my face. That I started to smell like the stuff that was going to knock me out. And I looked up in the wall ahead of me, and there was an angel, and he had long blonde hair. I'm getting a little bit teary-eyed here. He had long blonde hair, and he was turning his back like he was walking away from the situation. And there was a blonde-haired girl, and she also, I could not see her face, and I got the impression that that was me. And I was supposed to visualize that I was leaving. I was that girl walking away with the angel. So what happened is I breathed in, I saw them right on there, and then I breathed, and then I went with them, and I left. So, oh my gosh, it was crazy. But unfortunately, you guys, I don't remember anything from that time that they knocked me out, except for going with him, okay? I wish I could be like, oh yeah, I saw this and that. But the thing is I saw more when I woke up. So they brought me into recovery, and in recovery, I woke up and said, oh, I'm still alive. And then we waited, and then they got me in a room. Okay, so here's some more weird stuff that happened. Okay, I got in the room, and then I was still, this whole time I was seeing, when I would close my eyes, I would see things around me. I would see angels. I would see like astral creatures, weird stuff. Like I was seeing, we're in this soup of energy. Okay, I was seeing all that. And so I didn't even want to go to sleep because I'd close my eyes, and then it was like my third eye would activate, and I would see all this stuff around me, you know, and the astral, or whatever you want to call it. Got up to my room, and then I saw by my bed a pit, and it was blood red skulls. It was like a pit of hell. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I gonna go there? You know, I was like, why am I seeing this pit of hell and these skulls burning and all this stuff? And that started to freak me out and bother me. Like, okay, I've been doing all this work. Am I not doing the right work? And then I saw like this weird, it was like the whole floor was this fire pit. Okay. And yeah, I started to get upset. And then I saw this dark being. He was trying to get through the glass window to get me. And I was calling on my angels, doing all my stuff. Angels, please help me. I surrender to God. You know, all that. And yeah, that happened. What I did feel, though, is that the angels were there. They did come in. They did get rid of that being. But I do feel like the reason why I found out later why I saw all that is because I had been working with all these high positive forces, and I was sick. I was vulnerable. So these lower beings and things were trying to get me. They were trying to scare me, trying to hurt me. And I even, like, I was laying in the hospital, I felt this being come, and it stabbed me in my arm. And then at that point, the angels kind of grabbed it and took it out of there. It was crazy, you know. And then I just kept seeing all these shapes and colors. I saw stuff where like there was like these outlines of shapes, where there was this angel that was an outline all red, and then its head would turn into a rose. It would be like an angel's face and then a rose. That was very distinct. And yeah, I was hearing all types of stuff too, different voices and things like that. And they kept telling me, Laurie, you are going to get another surgery. And they kept saying it over and over, you're going to get another surgery, you're going to get another surgery. And I was like, oh no. Because at that hospital, they scared me, man. I've had many surgeries because of cancer, and it was all very gentle and all this, and there it was like, oh, they terrified me. And so I was like, please, God, angels, I don't want surgery, please. I don't want it, please. So I kind of visualized my body healing. I started, my Reiki was really active. Like after the surgery, I was hungry and up and walking around, and the nurses were like, she shouldn't be like that. She wants to eat and all this after just having surgery. So I was already recovering. But what happened later is I found out that the doctors came in and they actually confirmed it and said, we've been debating on if we're going to do heart surgery to get rid of the blood clot there. And all this time I was on blood thinners and all these different things. And he told me that, and I was like, oh God, I don't want surgery, please, God. And yeah, so I ended up getting better. All those things that I was seeing when I would close my eyes and then my third eye would activate and I would see these spirits and the stuff around me. It started to get to where it was leaving. It was disappearing and disappearing. So because I got to where I couldn't sleep because I closed my eyes and I would see everything, you know. And I would see my angels standing by there too. And that pit that I saw with the fire and all that, it disappeared. And I was really worried, like, okay, am I in the wrong line of work? Am I doing something wrong? And they told me, you know, I had to calm down though. You can't hear your angels and guides when you're hyped up and anxious and that. So it took me a couple days to calm down and stop obsessing about what happened to me. And then they told me that I had been doing this prayer where, you know, when I get ready to do readings, I prepare myself and I clear things away from me. Well, one of the prayers is a passage, a part of the Bible where it talks about casting things into hell. So apparently I've done that prayer so much that I opened that I guess you could say a portal, and that I was sending stuff so much to that area that it was a permanent portal that was by me. So when I fully realized that, I stopped doing that prayer. And then I just said, okay, I would just focus on God and the angels helping me to feel safe. And I do feel like I have a better perspective, or I feel like stuff that used to bother me doesn't bother me that much anymore. You know, and I feel like my connection, you know, like I am somebody that believes in all different belief systems. So I see the good in Buddhism, I see the good in Hinduism, I see the good in Christianity, I see the good in, you know, like I've learned and researched all these different belief systems. And, you know, I believe that there's something good in everything. And, you know, they kind of validated that for me. It's kind of saying like all paths eventually, they lead to the same place. And they started telling me, focus on, because mainly I focused on the angels because that's who I saw them, and they're tangible and you can work with them and you can hear them. But like with God, sometimes that takes a lot of effort, a lot of focus, and you know, but they started telling me after I got out of the hospital, you need to start focusing on the will of God. And you know, I'm probably going to share a prayer or some technique with it, but they were like, surrender to the will of God. So they were just telling me that over and over after I got out of the hospital. And they have told me that I did not do anything wrong. It's just these techniques that I was doing, that's why I was seeing that pit, you know. But yeah, it was an adventure, you know, like yeah, but I did my best to heal myself, to work with my angels, do Reiki, and everything I knew of, so I didn't have to get that second surgery. And I got out of the hospital, and I've been recovering. They cut, you could see a little bit of it. There's here and here. They just pulled out these blood clots, and they said that some of it was old, which, you know, in a spiritual sense, I connect that the blood clots were with me being stuck in life. And at the point right before I went in, I was doing a lot of heavy work to cleanse and purify, to heal from my childhood, to change my business, to go in a better direction, you know, things like that. I was doing a heavy spiritual cleansing. And so it would make sense, you know, sometimes you have to have that physical body cleanse too. So I had that stuck energy, stuck stuff in my body, and it had to come out. And now I do feel a lot better. Like for the past, I guess I want to say 2 weeks, I wasn't able to do much. I would wake up, do my readings, whatever I needed to do, and then rest. And my family was like, oh, you know, like we would take turns cooking food and things like that. And they were like, okay, you don't want to cook, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. What's going on? Like they knew I was off, and I was worried that cancer was back. Well, they tested me, and they said that there was no cancer, but that there's a lymph node that was bigger than what it should be. And that happened to me the last time I got a blood clot with that lymph node. So I'm not too worried about that, because they took out a lot of lymph nodes on this side. So sometimes I feel like the body has to make up for it somehow. Let me think of anything else that happened to me that I might not have mentioned. Yeah, so I did have experiences where the angels would come and be by me. They work on me. I would feel them touching me. I would feel it was like spiritual operation while I was there too. So I was recovering faster, and it was crazy. You know, like it got to the point where I was like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. And I was so happy that I could not see, you know, when I closed my eyes, I wasn't able to see everything, because, you know, like most of the time I can just see my angels and guides, and sometimes there's a departed person or there's some negative thing, but usually we'll just, you know, the angels will come and they'll get rid of it. But when they told me surrender to the will of God, and they were heavily telling me, focus on the will of God, focus on connecting with God. And that really helped me. It was like I was focused so much on angels that I needed to focus with the one that created them. So I'm in a much better place now, and I see things a lot differently. It's like I have a different perspective on life. Alrighty guys, so I'm probably gonna be changing things up on my channel and as things go by, but I appreciate you being here and listening to my story and things like that, and take care.